Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Channel 6 TV. I'm Kenny Fogel, bringing you counting down to November 6th. November 6th is a big day coming up. It's Tuesday, November 6th. That's Election Day, and that's the day you get your chance to choose who you want to see on the Barstown City Council or any other offices that happen to be coming up this time. But we really urge you to get out and vote. Pay attention, and one of our jobs right here at Channel 6 is to introduce you to the candidates, let you tell them a little bit about themselves, what the issues are, and so you have more of an educated way to when you go to the voting booth. So that's what we do. So we're going to do our part. We just hope you do yours. So we got with us Detra Haycraft today. Detra is running for Barstown City Council. And first of all, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Well, first of all, who is Detra Haycraft?
Detra Haycraft. I am I won't say lifelong resident because I didn't move here till I was 9. But considering I'll be 38 come election day, that's most of my life.
You've been here a while.
So I feel like I have some well-informed background as to growing up in Bardstown. And I've always lived in the city, so it's not been a matter of me being out in the county or other parts. I've always been right in the middle of town. But I graduated from Bardstown High School in '99. I did go away to college for a couple of years in West Virginia and came back a couple of years after that, started a career in aviation.
Really?
Spent about roughly 17 years of the last 20 working for Comair, Regional Elite, and Delta Global Services, all subsidiaries of Delta Airlines. Most of it as a customer service manager. So making sure that people and their belongings got safely to where they wanted to go.
Hey, you're the person I've been looking for.
I got blamed for a lot of stuff. But ultimately, I did manage several large groups, and while I was based in Louisville and Lexington for most of that, I did do a lot of traveling to other cities as well.
Yeah.
So it's.
But you came home to Bardstown.
I came home. I came home actually several years ago, but I spent, again, most of that time traveling and working out of the city, but left Delta back in April and started a job up at the Talbot Tavern where I'm currently the bar and entertainment manager there. So now I don't just live here, I work here too.
So traveling like that, does it give you a different perspective of what, because some people I say, if you never get away 30 miles away from home, you get a different idea than you do if you see the rest of the world.
It really does, because I don't know if you saw the article that I did for the Standard, the first thing it says is I was a naive kid, growing up here.
Not anymore.
I couldn't wait to get out of Bardstown. Well, traveling and doing all the things that I did, it does give you a different perspective. There are so many things to appreciate about this town that you just don't find, even sometimes in other parts of the state.
Well, you pick up good things from other places and bad things from other places too. You know what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and I think the traveling and getting away is tremendous. So, have you always been interested in politics?
I've always been, I don't want to say an armchair politician, but I've always been kind of one of those people that quietly observes, and that's true for not just for politics, but for a lot of things. I like to sit back and kind of understand what's going on before I jump in, and that's kind of where I was at with why I decided to run now. Things have become a little bit divisive, I think, in politics over the last few years, so much so that there's a lot of feelings towards and opinions that things need to change, and a lot of people just don't really know how to go about that change. So getting out, getting informed, and getting involved, is key, I think. Where I can give you my opinion and I can give you my ideas, what good does it do if we're not going to do anything with them? I don't want to just talk about it anymore. I want to be able to go out, and not just mine, anybody else's. A lot of people that want to be involved just simply don't know how, and that needs to change because everybody's.
Well, you work with the public a lot, so I'm sure you hear a lot of things. A lot of people complaining, or people even saying good stuff. People don't say good stuff much, but every now and then they do. But occasionally, but you get to hear a lot of what people feel.
Right. Yeah, and they do. It's, and it has been kind of interesting, especially since it came out that I was running. People are a lot more open with those opinions now, but that they want to see change, but at the same time. It hasn't all been bad, and there is some value in what those that have been around, for the long time. There's a lot of those guys that are on council now have been out there for a long time, and I remember them as a kid growing up. They've done some good things, and I think that they still hold a lot of value with their experience and the knowledge that they bring to the table. but I think it's time that some of our younger generations do step up and get
As
involved.
a member of the older generation myself, I do think there's sometimes you do get out of touch a little bit. So you see things from a different perspective, maybe. I don't know. So what do you see as things you'd like to see done or want to do if you get to be on Bardstown City Council?
Well, just a lot of things just bring the community back together. A lot of the current events that we just had recently with some of the festivals highlighted some of the needs as far as what are we doing for our families and our kids locally. We do bring our city thrives on tourism. There's no question about that. Everything about this town, it's second oldest city in the state. There's a lot of history and there's a lot of bourbon.
We do have that.
And so there are a lot of things that we do rely on the tourists for. However, I like to tell people if tourism's the head, then the community is the neck. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So we need to bring back the community and focus a little bit more, I think, on the locals as much as we do on the tourists. They want to see more activities for their kids. They want to have more options for them to do things. Bourbon doesn't mean much to a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
What are we doing for our 12-year-old? What are we doing for our youth? How do we keep the money that the community is making in the community? What are we doing for our elderly? I've heard a lot of people say that we used to have activities and programs for both the youth and the elderly that just aren't there anymore. How come? What are the reasons? And what can we do to get those back? And what can we do to make this a place not even just for our locals to come, but bring some of those people from Louisville and Lexington? Because where I'm at, I do see a lot of people that, they think tourism is all about people coming from out of state, but if we bring a couple of families just down the road from Lexington for a few days.
Green is green. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
But we have to have that appeal, and right now I think we've kind of stalled out a little bit on focusing on the locals in the community itself and keeping people wanting to stay here and wanting to be here.
Well, for many years, Bardstown was a very close community. Most people didn't even know. We were sort of a secret. We kept it to ourselves and we took care of ourselves. Now it's become a global, most beautiful city in the country and all that kind of stuff. And we're attracting people from all over the world now.
Right.
And there's good and bad that goes with that. I mean, there's some good things, obviously, with tourism, and some bad when, like you said, sometimes we forget the home folks.
Right, and somebody asked me a couple weeks back, they're like, what's the biggest change you've seen being a native here? And I'm like, population.
Yeah.
Population's a lot bigger now than it used to be, and, what comes with that is, obviously we were a well-kept secret for a while, but then the closeness and community, when I was growing up, parents relied on each other to, take your kids to and from, and teachers could be more involved without having to fear, certain repercussions, and even, 4-H. 4-H was always a big part of what I did growing up, not even just on a local level, but all the way through. But I wouldn't have been able to do those things without the leaders that we had in the community to help out. And so you want to kind of see that. I would love to see that community piece come back, because you could rely on your neighbors. And even if you didn't know your neighbors that well, you knew that if you weren't going to be there, they were looking out for you. Yeah. And so that was one of the things that I learned to appreciate. And it's not that it's gone away. It hasn't, because you still get that now. Same faces, same folks you see all the time. And you just learn to appreciate those things. And I just hope the younger generations will put their phones down long enough to realize that it's not all bad here.
Yeah, well, that's what we try to encourage you, to let people know how much politics and government affects everybody. A lot of people didn't think it affects them that much, but it affects them a whole lot more than they think. Everything they do in their life, pretty much. Taxes, roads, everything. I mean, you might people complain, but they don't realize who are making these decisions.
Right, and that was one of the other things that I talked about previously is the why. A lot of people are resistant to change only because nobody will tell them what the changes are for. Why are we doing it? How is it being done? Who's making these decisions? Is this what everybody wants? Did everybody's opinions get valued? Were they, all the resources utilized? And a lot of it gets lost because, they don't get those explanations. They don't get well, we're doing this because big picture says, change isn't always bad. Change is absolutely necessary most times. But what most people want is just help me understand why we're doing what we're doing and how can I help.
Well, like I said, mentioned, you've been traveling outside the community, and you are part of the younger generation, which sometimes makes it difficult to know enough people to get elected. I mean, so you're out now trying to meet people and get people to know who you are and what you stand for. And so, how you been doing this?
It's been a little bit slow for the beginning because of what I do. Bourbon Festival was a planning process, but
Know a lot of people from Illinois and Alaska.
Yeah, I met a lot of people from all over the world in the last couple weeks, but they don't vote here. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, festivals like that, the buttermilk breakfast. I was up at the breakfast that morning trying to get out and talk to some people, and even just being at the tavern, during the Bourbon Festival. It's a big local draw too, so we were able to meet some people there. I have an event planned for tomorrow evening on the 21st, just a meet and greet.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that I am still connected to and that I know from growing up here.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has been helpful too, where I've been able to use those connections to get out and meet other people as well that I may not be as familiar with.
Well, how would you describe yourself? Do you think of yourself as more of somebody that's going to stand up for what you believe in, or go along, get along? I mean, what would you think as part of the team? How would you feel that you would be?
I feel like I'm more of the middle ground type person. Because it's, in management a lot of times, especially with larger groups like I've had to be in charge of, you get a lot of adversity and you get a lot of diversity. So in order to be able to bring everybody on a common ground, you have to have somebody that can relate, bring their knowledge and experience from, well, I hear what you're saying and I hear what you're saying. So we have to find kind of that middle common ground, and I think I'm good with, like, I guess the mediator part of that. Yeah. Explaining and trying to get everybody to understand and see the big picture as far as, why are we doing the things that we're doing and what are the decisions we're making. It's, I've always had that theory that you don't always have to get along, but you do need to respect each other. And, a lot of that tends to get lost as well. Just listen. It doesn't always matter if you agree or disagree. You don't have to agree or disagree 100%. If you're able to pull anything out of somebody else's ideas and opinions and draw them with 5, 10, 100 other people, then that's the government process at work.
Well, I'll ask you a question. It's sort of unique just to you because of your experience in the aviation business, and a lot of people don't realize that the Bardstown City Council owns an airport. So we've got an airport, and you see quite a bit of activity out there, but do you see that as part of the progress, so we could do more with that airport out there, maybe?
I don't think a lot of people realize how busy that airport is. But we absolutely could. I was excited. I didn't get to go, of course, to see that they used it for one of their events out there. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize that we have an airport that takes in, over 10,000 planes a year, and they're like, how is that even possible? But I think it's definitely a sign, one, that we're in a great central location to a lot of larger cities, but two, just the growth of our own industries as well. Not all of them necessarily in Bardstown per se, but just Nelson County as a whole. But that airport does see a lot of activity, and you would, from my perspective as an aviation junkie, I would like to see more utilization of that, because there's a lot of things that even for the youth, somebody coming up through high school that's not sure what they want to do, the vocational school could probably come up with some sort of program that would, be beneficial, because airline mechanics, it's a dwindling field, but it's a very lucrative field. They had a lot of kids. Why would you even know about that? And I was similar when I came back from West Virginia. I just kind of fell into that career. I didn't even know ComAir existed, didn't know what it meant, didn't know what it was, didn't understand it, because, as somebody that's traveled, you look out the window and you're like, oh, well, there's some guy with a vest on and some orange sticks. That looks like fun, but they're it's one of those careers that you don't think a whole lot about unless you're involved in it. So
I've been in a bunch of them myself.
They look out the window and they see people and they know their bags get from A to B, but they don't understand the process that's behind it. And it's a very rewarding career. I enjoyed it quite a bit because, not just the travel, but you do get to meet a lot of interesting people, and you do gain a lot of perspective on a lot of different areas.
Well, again, you're working every day, so it's hard to get out and go door to door. So this is your opportunity here. Is there anything I haven't asked you, or something you really like the voters to know about you before Election Day?
Well, you will be seeing more of me. I will be getting out more now that the festivals are starting to get past us. But I just want to say that My goal is to make sure that everybody understands that they do have a voice, and I've said it before that even if you're not voting for me, I want you to get out and I want you to vote. You said it at the beginning. We have, as of Monday, just under 34,000 folks in Nelson County registered to vote, but when you look at the numbers come November, the percentage of those actually voting are going to be fairly low, and that needs to change. I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is to get out and vote. So if you're not registered, you have until October 9th to get that done. We'll be trying to push that a little bit at some of the events that we go out to. And then I know a lot of feedback that I get is that even though the polls are open for 12 hours a day, I don't have a car, I don't have a babysitter, I have to work. You know, there's challenges, and you know, I'd like to be able to look at ways that, you know, we can help alleviate some of those strains on folks so that they can get out and be a part of the process, because voting is the first step.
And one of the things we need more, I think, in anything that scares people of my age is we do need to get the younger generation more involved. I mean, I think that's a complaint that a lot of people say is the younger generation have tuned out, or like you said, they're on their phones and they're doing everything, and they're busy. And I'm not saying they're not busy. They got kids to raise, they got families to support. I mean, they don't have time to get out and really get involved with what's going on and everything, or time they get home from work every night, it's time they're so exhausted they have to get up and do it again. So it's not exactly their fault, but it's wonderful to see somebody younger that's getting involved.
And it's you know, I can feel those challenges. I have 3 children of my own. One of them's in high school, getting ready to start driving. But you know, so I've been a working mother. I'm finishing up my last few classes on my bachelor's degree. So it's working mother, student mother. You know, and I think that's one of the things. I have a very, very eclectic, diverse background. So there's a lot of things that I've done, not just with the airlines, not just with 4-H or the community, but I'm able to relate to a lot of people and understand that the challenges they face. You know, that a lot of times people feel like they're all alone in the world, and that's not the case. There's so many other people out there, and I think just taking that first step, getting involved and saying, hey, where do I fit in? How can I help out? And what can I do to be a part of the process? That's the first step. And a lot of people are scared to take that step because they really don't feel like they are important to the political process.
It is a scary step. It is. Well, I know we got to get you to work, so so I do appreciate you being able to take the time out to get in here and do this.
Having me in here. It's always good to try and get the word out. But,
it is. Hopefully you're paying attention. Like I said, Miss Detra Haycraft, she's running for Bardstown City Council. Tuesday, November 6th is Election Day. So look at the list of people running. Check out what we've been doing here on Channel 6. And I know you got debates coming up, so you got all kinds of opportunities to get people to know who you are. Stop in Talbot Tavern and say hi and whatever. And again, you know, just get involved. I think you still summed it up very well, that get involved part.
Get involved, and any way that I can help with that, you know, that's what I hope to be there for, is to be that, like I said, mediator, middle ground, and we definitely want folks to get out. And again, I'll be making more appearances and scheduling more opportunities for folks to come talk and express some of their concerns. I know they have a lot out there, so I'm looking forward to meeting the community and being able to help make a difference.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in here today. I appreciate it. Detra Haycraft, Bardstown City Council. Again, Tuesday, November 6th, Election Day. Hope you vote. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on Channel 6 TV right after these messages.